Tony Dow, widely remembered for his role as Wally Cleaver on the classic television series Leave It to Beaver, lived a life that, from the outside, appeared simple, steady, and defined by early fame, but the fuller picture of his journey reveals a far more layered existence shaped by reinvention, creativity, and a long career beyond the identity that made him famous as a teenager. And while sensational headlines often use phrases like double life, the reality is less about secrecy and more about a quiet transition between very different professional worlds that many fans never fully noticed. After rising to prominence in the late 1950s and early 1960s as part of one of America's most iconic television families, Dow gradually stepped away from acting as he grew older, not because he rejected his early success but because he found new forms of expression that allowed him to explore creativity in ways the entertainment industry did not always offer him. And over the following decades he developed a parallel identity as a visual artist, working in sculpture, abstract forms, and public art projects that became a serious and respected part of his life. This shift often went unnoticed by casual viewers who still associated him primarily with his childhood role, creating the impression that his public persona and private passions were separate worlds, when in reality they were simply different phases of a continuous creative journey. While he did occasionally return to television and film for guest appearances, his focus increasingly leaned toward art studios, exhibitions, and collaborations that gave him a quieter but deeply meaningful outlet, allowing him to build a second career outside the spotlight that had defined his youth. And this long-term dedication to art is what some later narratives dramatize as a hidden life, even though it was not hidden at all but simply less publicized than his acting fame. Beyond his professional evolution, Dow also experienced the normal complexities of adulthood, including family life, health challenges, and the shifting nature of identity that comes with aging after early celebrity. And like many actors who become household names at a young age, he spent much of his later life balancing public recognition with private individuality, often encountering people who still saw him through the lens of a role he had played decades earlier rather than the person he had become. This contrast between perception and reality is what gives rise to exaggerated storytelling, but those who followed his later work understood that he was consistently engaged in meaningful creative pursuits rather than living a hidden or secret existence. In his later years, Dow faced health struggles, including a cancer diagnosis, which he addressed with openness, and he continued to be supported by family and fans who appreciated both his early contributions to television history and his later artistic achievements. And even as his health declined, he remained connected to his creative identity in ways that reflected continuity rather than division. He passed away in 2022, leaving behind not only a legacy tied to one of television's most enduring characters but also a body of artistic work that represents a quieter, more personal side of his talent. And when viewed as a whole, his life is less about a hidden double existence and more about a natural human evolution from child actor to adult artist, from public figure to private creator, and from scripted roles to self-directed expression, showing that a person can be known for one thing while simultaneously building another life that is equally real, even if less visible to the public eye.